I want to say Boca Or instead of Boca Tov. Why Boca Or? Boca Tov is Boca, good morning. Boca Or is energy, light, energy. And before I begin, I have to thank Karen for inviting me. Where's Yaakov? Yaakov, Ronit. I wouldn't have been here without the three of you, but just give me, I have 1,200 seconds to talk about 3,000 years, but I have to take 7 seconds to say yesterday the whole MIXiii was already accomplished. Why? We had a guy sitting in that pink chair over there, and he said he went to the MIXiii in Miami. And when you do these MIXiis, they just do it for everybody else. They don't get anything out of it. And the guy said he went to the MIXiii Miami. He only had 60 days of cash left. And because of Karen and her staff, she's always thanking her staff instead of herself, this guy raised $2 million in Miami. This is what this is all about, and it's really an honor to be here, truly. So I was given literally 1,200 seconds to talk about 3,000 years. Does anybody know what I'm holding in my right hand? This is a delivery mechanism from 3,000 years ago. That's why I'm holding it, because if it breaks, it's going to cost me a few shekels. This is the delivery mechanism of energy. Oil created light, created energy. 3,000 years ago. And by the way, today in the newspaper, I don't know if anybody read the newspaper today, they discovered a city right outside of Jerusalem, 9,000 years old. Older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids, 9,000 years old, right across the street from here. So this is 3,000 years ago. This is being developed right now at Hebrew University by Dr. Ofra Benny. This is also a delivery system. This little microchip can analyze microfluids, millions and millions and millions of cancer cells, and from these cancer cells, it can detect specifically the type of cancer you have, but more importantly, this microchip, this amazing delivery device, can tell specifically what drug would be most effective for that specific patient. So this took 3,000 years to get to this right now. What I'm here to share with you is that Israel and the biotech environment will deliver more in the next 10 years than in the last 3,000 years. And that's what I hope to be able to share with you in the next 17 minutes and 21 seconds. I'm watching Karen. Okay. What is fascinating about the Bible? You got to talk about the Bible. We're here in Jerusalem, right? What's fascinating, whoever wrote it, it doesn't make a difference what you believe or who wrote it. The fact is that in the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis, it says that man shall live to 120 years. That's it. Who came up with that number? They could have come up with 82, 300, but 120. At the end of the Bible, in Vizot HaBracha, Moses lived to 120 years. It says it in the beginning, and it says it in the end. Why 120? This is the one thing I can't figure out when I try to analyze how did they come up with this number. Does anybody know why I'm asking that? There's some geneticists in here, right? In 1962, we figured out the telomerase in human species is to 120. We're supposed to live to 120 years. That is what our species is expected to live. We will surpass that, and some people actually have. But what's fascinating about this is why Israel is going to be on steroids in the next decade, because the average lifespan has increased tremendously. Israel right now is in the top 12 of longevity in the world. Anybody know which country is number one? Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the number one country. Japan, Korea, Macau. Fascinating. But we're in the top 10 to 12, depending on how you look at it. As we're living longer, because of the gentleman before me, where cancer, Alzheimer's, Michael Schwartz here working on Alzheimer's, it's unbelievable the lifespan. So when you have that lifespan increasing, guess what? You're going to need more products. People are living longer. In 1900, does anybody know the average lifespan of the average American male? 45 years of age. 45 years of age. 120 years later, wow, 120 again, I just thought of that. 120 years later, it's now 78 years of age. Women live longer, obviously. Now, these are just some examples of other species that live, their specific aspects of lifespan, but I can share a couple. So the Greenland shark, does anybody know the length of a life of the telomerase of a Greenland shark? 400 years. A shark, Greenland shark, lives 400 years. McCoy, those beautiful birds in South America, 85 years. Elephants, 55 years. Dogs, 17 years average. Humans, 120. And we're going to get there. Okay, so why am I so bullish? And forgive the slides are a little bit repetitious to some people, but I want you to gravitate to why I'm so excited. There's an economic theory called the Kondratiev cycle. The Kondratiev cycle shows that every 55 to 62 years after a depression or recession, what happens is there's huge technological breakthroughs. There is the gunpowder, cotton gin, the computer, cars. Every 55 to 62 years, you get this huge revolutionary breakthroughs in technology. I'm suggesting to you that it's going to be occurring every 3 years instead of every 55 years. And that's why I'm so excited. And in Israel, you just don't have biology. You have chemistry, nanotechnology, robotics. It's endless. Biomaterials. Everybody's using different words now. You're going to be creating biotechnology in clothing. It's going to be phenomenal what's going to be happening, and this is the place to be. So you just look at Hebrew University, where I'm very proud that I've started 2 companies there, probably put in about, give or take, $150 million just into Hebrew University's research, 11,500 patents, 361 companies, 412 founders, 24,000 students. Now we go to Tel Aviv University. Tel Aviv University, look at this. The only non-US university makes it in the top 10, 30,000 students, but what's fascinating, it's 8th in the world for unicorns. 8th in the world for starting unicorns. And by the way, I learned a new term here in Israel, my last trip, my 75th trip. Forget about unicorns. Israelis go, oh, unicorn, oh, we have no interest in unicorns. A decacorn. They want to know about decacorns. Decacorns is $10 billion companies. And I believe with the chimerism of biology and physics, the chimerism of artificial intelligence, AI, and quantum with biology and chemistry, it is not far-fetched that there'll be many unicorns, but also many decacorns over the next 10 years in this country. And for all the people that are here as visitors internationally and those that are going to watch us afterwards, there's no better time to be investing in Israel than now. Never. I have to do the Technion because my first lecture I gave here was in 1991 with Eli Horowitz at the Rambam. It's crazy that I still remember it. But if you look at the Technion, we have 4 Nobel Prize winners, 851 founders creating over 717 companies. The next 10 years is going to be dwarfed. This is the best generation that Israel has right now. The generation now between the ages of 21 to 40, which I'm no longer part of, is the best generation, in my opinion, that Israel has. They are so thinking out of the box, and I think what's going to happen, I'll get to that in a moment, is them working together. Here's at the Weizmann Institute, you have 120 spin-off companies. Look at this, 10,000 alumni, 1 Nobel Prize winner, but this is my favorite. 50 Tel Aviv bar lectures. We got to do this here in Jerusalem. I mean, how don't we have bar lectures in Jerusalem? And that is having a guest speaker, a guest lecturer, just hang out at a bar with 50 or 60 students and take down a bar. We need to be doing that more throughout all of Israel and increase this ecosystem of curiosity, okay? Bar-Ilan University, I did a deal with them back in 1993. $250 million donation just came through. Anonymous donation last year, $250 million. Ben-Gurion got a $400 million donation a few years ago by a gentleman, a dentist, I believe, that invested $50,000 with Warren Buffett the first time he opened up Berkshire Hathaway Fund. The $50,000 turned into $400 million. He donated the entire amount to the Ben-Gurion University. 26 libraries with 1 million books at Bar-Ilan. Ben-Gurion, I just mentioned it. Okay, now what's happening is the ecosystem of medicine. You have the Dina Recanati Medical School coming in 2025, 8,400 students at Reichman, 34,000 alumni already from 90 countries. How can we not succeed? How can we not succeed having all these students? 239 companies coming out of there. Okay, these are all the medical schools. Now, my vision is to have all the companies, all the universities, all these academics start to learn to work together. What is the biggest problem we have here? We have problems. Is people not communicating effectively. And there are people at Ben-Gurion University working on the same thing at the Technion, working at the same thing at the Weitzman, and we have to figure out how to connect all of these researchers together. Instead of the chief scientists giving them $100,000 each, give them $600,000 to work together. And if we can figure that out, again, I believe the next decade is going to be insanity here. These are just an example. There are 1,800 active life science companies. I didn't make that up. That's high. Hey, come on, I got to use the material here. You have 78,000 employees in life sciences, and in 2023, 53 companies have been established. In 2023, the GDP of Israel was 1.8%. Last year, it was 1%. It fell, so 1.8 to 1 GDP. Next year, this year, 2025, they're expecting it to be 4%. That is almost a triple increase. Anybody know our unemployment here in Israel? 2.6%. That's half the rate of the 5.5% in Europe. So when people complain that the economy here is stagnant, it's not. We're actually on fire. Now we have to go on thermal fire. How do we increase what we have now to the next level? Now, this is the most exciting part of what I want to share with you. The next 10 years, we're going to have more than $1 trillion of economy here. And if you remember what I shared with you in the beginning, the concept of the Kondratiev cycle, every 55 to 62 years, the world goes into a macro recession, depression. You come out of it with a new breakthrough in technology. I could tell you right now, in this trip of 3 weeks that I've had here, it's incredible what's going on at every single university that I'm at, and individual research, all applied research, not just basic research. Again, the problem, we have to figure out using AI, the guy was speaking about AI before and couldn't get his movie up, we got to figure out with AI, all the programs that we have here, figure out which are the most synergistic and work with them together. And it'll be that much easier to get the funding. And by the way, we don't have the management pool to run 3 separate companies of the 3 same technologies. So if we can figure out how to streamline that, it's going to be amazing. Medical devices, there's no country in the world per capita that's doing what we're doing here. Nanotechnology is my favorite area. Why? Because it's endless. Endless what we're doing in nanotechnology, not just in biotechnology, in agri-biotechnology, in food technology, robotics. Every day, the amount of robotics is happening. There was a statistic I heard before flying over here. They believe that by the end of 2030, most homes in America will have 10 robots, if you could imagine that. So in the next 15 years, robots are going to become a reality. A lot of people have robot vacuums, but robots are going to become part of everyday life. It's going to be like the Jetsons in 1965, watching on NBC in America. AI and quantum. I don't have to talk about AI because everybody's been talking about AI, but it's real. And to give you an idea what's happening in biotechnology, a normal drug takes 17 years for development. That sounds crazy. When people say, why can't things speed up? That's speed, 17 years. I always ask people, why wasn't there automobiles in 1735 or 1625? There was steel in the ground, iron ore, there was oil, there was electricity in the world, but there was no cars in 300 years ago. Science takes little baby steps. But what did I say before? The next decade is going to be wild. So AI and quantum is saving 75% of time developing new drugs. So for cancer, Alzheimer's. But the thing that I'm most excited about is solid cancers. Let me give you a statistic. If, God forbid, someone has leukemia or lymphoma stage 4 today, you have a 78% chance of survival. It's wild. It's crazy. 20 years ago, stage 4 outlook wasn't that great. Solid cancers, I believe in the next 8 years, we're going to have it controllable with those same numbers. I don't say the word curable. We're going to have it controllable. How do I, and why do I believe that? It's combination therapy. Targeted immunotherapy combined with mRNA therapeutics, combined with checkpoint inhibitors, combined with cell therapy, combined with anti-angiogenic factors. It's going to be amazing. And AI is playing a major role on how to combine those. We as humans cannot figure that out. So it's saving 75% of the time that it used to take to develop a drug and decreasing it probably by the same magnitude of course of using the combination therapy with AI and quantum. Food tech. If I was to just solely invest in Israel right now, it'd be in food tech. We have defense tech, we have agri-tech, we have all these techs, but everybody here likes food. I remember in 1979, the cuisine here is what was the best falafel that puts hummus and tahina on top of the chips. That was the cuisine that was here. Am I right or wrong? There was King Falafel, I remember, in Tel Aviv, on Dizengoff. That was the best falafel in town. Today, we have Michelin-style restaurants. In just 40 years, what we've done. But now, they have eggs, vegan eggs, made from hummus, made from chickpeas. It's incredible what food tech is going to do for the entire world. And that's the beauty. Everything that's being done in Israel is transferring out. I always, when I travel to all these countries I've been to, I always say the only war that Israel wants to be part of is the war on breast cancer, the war on ovarian cancer, the war on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. This is the only war that all the citizens of Israel really want to fight on a collective basis. Biomaterials, I mentioned before, on how biology is going to play a major, major role in all facets of business, in fashion, you're going to have on your iPhone, there'll be more molecular biology in the future on your iPhone than physics. Okay, I wanted to share this statistic just so people get an idea of why I believe the next 10 years is going to be crazy. If you just look at this slide from 1970, you look at the GDP per capita, we're right now head of the United Kingdom. Israel right now, per capita GDP is higher than England. Who would have imagined this 40 or 50 or 60 years ago? And right now in 2020, let me see if this thing works. Voila. 2045, I believe that what we'll have here is anywhere between $85,000 to $100,000 equivalent, today's standards, GDP. And it's going to be trickled down. I think that the more high tech that we have here, the more employment we have here, and we have an underemployment problem in Israel. There's an underemployment, but I think we're going to work that out. I'm very bullish on all the optimism that I've seen in the last 3 weeks that I've been here. Just want to make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to. Now, I started with the first slide of 120. What will come with next mortality and immortality? And if you look now, the highest concentration of age I mentioned is Hong Kong, but the highest concentration of people over 100, does anybody know which country? Japan. But which place in Japan has the highest amount of people living over 105? Okinawa. And Okinawa, they did a study called the Okinawa study. They didn't know if it was caloric intake. They didn't know what they were doing, and you know what it was? Constantly learning, constantly using the brain, constantly staying active. And that's why in my second book here, Chofesh Mamachala, Freedom from Disease, I say all people have to do is 1,200 seconds to 2,400 seconds a day to lower your cortisol insulin levels to stay healthy. You got to figure out the 1,200 seconds to 2,400. 20 to 40 minutes. But people pay attention to the seconds, as I'm doing here. So people ask me when I travel, how do you compare Israel to the rest of the world? If you had one way of expressing Israel, how do they think compared to the rest of the world? And it reminds me of a story of 1967, Lyndon Johnson, who was an amazingly pro-Israeli president. And Lyndon Johnson, after the Six-Day War, could not believe that in 6 days Israel, won against their foes of 11 countries, neighbors today. And I believe the Abraham Accords is going to be something phenomenal. And he said, I can't believe that you guys won against 11 countries. And we're still fighting in Vietnam. We're going to have an exchange of generals. So he calls up Levi Eshkol, and he goes to Levi Eshkol, listen, we're supplying you with some armaments. We're going to have an exchange of 3 generals. You figure out 3 generals you want from the American side. We're going to figure out 3 generals we want from the Israeli side, and we're going to exchange the next day. No ifs, ands, or buts. Levi Eshkol didn't know what to do. By the way, very under-recognized prime minister that we had here. No one ever talks about him. And he didn't know what to do. A week later, Lyndon Johnson calls back because, again, people ask me, explain the Israeli concept of thinking out of the box. And Lyndon Johnson goes, so Prime Minister Eshkol, who are the 3 generals? He goes, but first, I want to tell you the 3 generals we want. I want that guy with that one eye. What's his name? Moshe Dayan. That guy has incredible charisma. We want him. He's coming here tomorrow. And who's that bulldozer of a guy? That guy Sharon, Ariel. We want that guy Ariel Sharon. And he says, that guy Hod. How do you say it? Mordechai? Oh, Mordechai. Mordechai Hod. That chief of the Air Force, he's coming here tomorrow because we have to win this war in Vietnam. And then he goes to Levi Eshkol, okay, what are the 3 generals you want us transferred tomorrow to Israel? And he goes, Mr. President, we know what 3 generals we want to have to come here. And he goes, well, which 3? He goes, General Electric, General Dynamics, and General Motors. Thank you.